Hey family, my name is Luke and I'm here with Eric Freedom and Kara. I am the head coach here at Reason Fitness. Eric is the founder of our gym and Kara is one of our coaches here. And together we have 27 plus years of experience in coaching fitness, nutrition, and wellness. And our mission here is to help develop happier, healthier people in the San Gabriel Valley and greater LA area. And today we're talking about the 5 factors of health. What's going on?
What up?
What's up?
We have a couple of questions here for Kara. She is right now our only full-time female staff on staff. Is that right? Full-time?
That is correct.
That is correct. Okay.
That is correct.
Can you confirm?
Confirmed.
Confirm or deny?
Amazing. Well, Eric, you wanna shoot first, and then maybe I can pick up where you.
Yeah, so we wanted to begin and kind of start a multi-episode series on the discussion of nutrition, mainly kind of focusing on women's issues. Not to say that women and men don't have the same issues, but I think culturally there are different things. I mean, I've been married for 10 years with the same person for 17 years. Yeah. I still learn things about the insecurities that women may feel, or like just there's things that I'm not aware of because of who I'm just not my wife, right? So I think you can bring a lot of light and perspective to what some people may going through, like a lot of relatability that they would not get from myself and Luke.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of the context. But really, I think that to ask a really broad question is when it comes to the idea, like just even the thought or word of nutrition. What are things that come to mind for you?
Yeah, when thinking about nutrition, I think it's changed a lot over the past years. Of like my answer, a year ago would have been different than what it is today. For me, this season of my life looks a lot different because it's more of like a competition season. But I think nutrition is really just like how you're fueling your body based on your activity level and what food is going to basically like support you most to get through your day and feel your best by the end of it.
I'm curious to hear what was your relationship with like food growing up? So I know that you're not from LA, but people don't know that. From what I know, you grew up in PA, and what was it like? What was your family like? What were some cultural implications that you guys had around food? I'll give you an example. Like for me, when I think about food growing up, I think about every meal is around a round table. We sat around a round table. I think about like most family meals together, there was usually a soup. And when I think back on it, and now I realize why, because it fills your stomach. But there was usually a soup, multiple bowls of rice, and just one main dish that we kind of all picked at.
Yeah.
That's me when I think about family meals growing up and stuff like that. Lunch was different throughout the years. In the very beginning, it was my mom would pack me lunch like a bento. So it's like a box with warm food inside. And then as my mom went through my parents went through a tough season in their marriage, eventually getting divorced. During those years, they didn't have time to focus on my food or maybe even their food. And, lunch became as simple as Frosted Flakes in a red party cup, and they gave me a dime for milk, and all the way to the spectrum of like sandwiches and stuff like that. So I think for me, there was never really much consistency growing up in anything, but there was a lot of it was cultural stuff that is very memorable for me that I think was more habit forming than I realized, along with this idea of food is just kind of whatever we have is like before us, we figure out and piecemeal something together, and that's food, that's nutrition. Mm-hmm. There wasn't really this discussion of whether it was healthier for you or not. It was just like, it's food.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing for you? Like what's some of your family history and stuff like that?
Yeah. So for perspective, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have 3 older sisters. So I had a big family. My parents they're still together. So we had a family of 6. Most of our meals were not necessarily together because we all did sports growing up and we're pretty busy. My mom's a flight attendant, so she was gone like just about every 3 days or so. So my dad would take over the cooking while she was gone. I say cooking lightly because we would go to McDonald's basically every night that my mom was gone. Or we would eat out. So I think for me, it was always just like, there were 6 of us and the food was just like put before us and it was like, eat as much as you can. Like we're going to eat it all. We didn't really do leftovers or anything like that. And we're a really competitive family. And me with all my sisters, it was like, I would say healthy relationships because we all are still very close to each other, but it was always with food, like whoever finishes their plate first, like you got this like badge of honor. So I always knew that there was going to be food and it was always going to be accessible for us. But I would say looking at like quality was definitely lacking. And what we were having, it was a really like traditional American diet, like very little vegetables, macaroni and cheese for dinner with no protein, just whatever Stouffer's or frozen pizza that my mom got at the store.
You guys ever mess with that hamburger helper?
Oh, we were not a hamburger helper family, but most families were. So it was like weird for me to go to my friend's house and it would be like, tuna helper. And I'm like,
I remember the first time I tried hamburger helper, it might've been in middle school. So it's like, I started having a little bit more autonomy in my food because it's just like, when you're like kind of K through 5, your parents make like every decision for you in your life.
Yeah.
And then in middle school, it's kind of like, well, what do you like? And I was like, so when we go to grocery stores, hamburger helper was like cheap. So I think my mom didn't. I don't think my mom minded. So I was like, it's like $1.50, And I was like, dude, this looks amazing. And it's like the box looks like hamburger helper on the box looks like this gourmet pasta dish, right? But it's like it's dried pasta with like dry seasoning.
Yes.
And then you had to add meat and water and milk or whatever, cheese or whatever. Right? But it's like you just see you're like, dude, this is like way better than what I'm getting at home. I'm just getting like rice and meat and some veggies I don't want to eat.
Yeah.
So it sounds like scarcity was never like, it was like food resources, maybe not the best choices, but you guys weren't really like fighting for food, right? Like there's always enough. I know that me and my brother, so for me growing up family is just me and my brother. Luke, it's just you and your brother.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, what I remember growing up, there's always this sense of like competition and not the way that you guys have, but it's like, and I've heard other families especially with boys, where there's this idea of like, there almost is not enough food going around and everyone's like fighting each other to eat food.
Yeah.
That was definitely my upbringing. Like my mom would bring home like a bag of chips and it would be like a competition between me and brother. Like not competition, but like we both wanted it and there was not enough to go around, even though it was family size.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or if your brother finished it and you all of a sudden felt in the mood to go get your bag of chips.
I'm like, dude, why'd you?
Yeah.
Bro, like you leave me chips,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what, food, again, going back to your context, there was not a lack of, but maybe not the best choices there.
Yeah.
So how was that formative for you over the years?
Well, I think that looking back, I'm the youngest of all 4 of us. And so once my sisters went off to college and I was around like 11th grade, things kind of took a flip because my mom was introduced to Beachbody. And those like they have like containers of like portions. They don't sell food, but they have these containers that you like put a protein in and you measure it. And so it's basically tracking macros, but on a very, very like restricted level of calories and macronutrients. And they don't know your body weight. They don't know your fat, they don't know what you need exactly, but they're like 1,200 calories, you eat 3 of these, 4 of these, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that actually once that happened, that's when the scarcity mindset set in because for dinner, we went from going from like McDonald's, takeout, I don't know, like Subway was like our normal dinner whenever we would eat out. And now all of a sudden it's like we're eating plain chicken breast, broccoli, rice with no seasoning.
Yeah.
Like it was super basic food. And with that, it started to kind of flip my understanding of what nutrition was because I saw how much weight my mom was losing doing this. And I was like, oh, that's how you should eat then if you want to look this way.
Yeah.
And you see that the owner of Beachbody, you see what she looks like. And
Yeah.
as a 17-year-old, you're like, well, I want to look like that. Like, I want to have the abs that she has.
Yeah.
So
Me too.
it was funny because I feel like I went from a mindset of like feeling really like I would say that as a kid, like I was pretty intuitive with eating. Like I don't remember
Yeah.
ever feeling like really sick after eating. Like I felt like I had an understanding, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat something.
Yeah.
Quality wasn't there. But once that whole like Beachbody was introduced, I think that's when the whole like restrictive mindset started coming where I was like, oh, you just need to like count exactly what you're eating and eat these really plain foods. And now you're going to be healthy and look
Yeah.
like this.
So I want to go deeper into this because this is actually an important topic because it sounds like you have a lot of I think everyone has their own set of experiences, right? With like food and their upbringing with food and all that kind of stuff. Something that I talk about with the people that I coach specifically in nutrition about is like 90% of learning how to eat for yourself now is unlearning how to eat or unlearning all of the ways that you have eaten in the past. And so maybe a question that I have for you is like, in learning now how to eat for yourself, do you feel like there's a lot of unlearning that had to have happened of the way that you learned how to eat prior to this, like in your upbringing? Like, and what did that look like? Like, what did the unlearning look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my body kind of went through a beating from like my junior year of college until I would say like 2 years ago, like basically when I started doing CrossFit. I think that during that time I was trying to restrict and just feel like, okay, if I do this, then I should be losing weight and I should be looking this certain way.
Yeah.
And for me, especially, I would say it really was right around the time that I started coming to the gym. I started learning like when I eat the way that I was eating and I would come to the gym, I would feel horrible.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was one time where I was trying to, we were doing back squats onto a bench and I actually fell on the bench and the weight like crushed under me because I couldn't get up.
Yeah.
And that was literally like, for me, that was like a wake up because I was only a couple months into do CrossFit where I was like, oh my gosh, I need to make a change because I'm clearly not eating enough food.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking the way that I wanted to look or anything like that at the time. And so it was a whole process of just realizing like restricting is not going to be key for me.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's huge because it's like, how long did it take you? Or do you feel like you're still in it?
No, not anymore. I honestly feel like I've come an extremely far away in the past 2 years. Like the way I look at food now is just completely based off of fueling myself to have the energy to make it through the day and feel good in my workouts and during my work day, which is pretty physical. So
what advice would you give to someone who is trying to unlearn old habits or old mindsets around food in order for them to help them actually feel good for the first time?
I think number one, I think truly the biggest thing that helped me was getting a coach. Because and this is not like, trying to sell a coach or anything like that, but I thought that I had the answers and I thought that I knew how to get out of it. But until I had someone to sit down and talk to and truly admit, like, I have a problem. Like, I can't control myself with food. That was the thing that changed it because I now had this person that one, cared about me so much and wanted to see my habits change. And two, I had accountability to make sure that I was actually making the changes.
Yeah.
And I think something to add to that, and again, I'm not trying to sell either, but it's just something I've seen coaching over the years is because you are now spending money on it and it costs you something, there is skin in the game, not just for you, but because your coach is being paid to do this, he or she has even more, like they have skin in the game too.
Yeah.
Like they really want you to win.
Yeah.
Right? Like they already want you to win, but like they're held accountable as well.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, and not only that, but just being able to even admit, whether it's to your family, your friends, or someone that you are struggling, that is like the first step you can take. Because without a support system, you're going at this alone.
Yeah.
And I think that what people don't realize is that a lot of people are struggling with this.
Yeah.
So even if you just state it, there could be somebody else in the room that you're talking to that is struggling with the same thing. And just making it known could be the first step to finding help.
Yeah. Literally, I think one of the first experiences that I've had with this is like when I told my coach that I felt really tired during my workouts, he literally had me go, all right, we're going to increase your calories by 500 calories, specifically worth of carbohydrates. And when he told me that, I legitimately got scared. Like I thought to myself, I'm going to get fat. I'm going to get fat, you know?
Yeah.
And literally 15 pounds later, I have not gained a pound of body fat. You know, I've not gained a pound of body fat. I've only gained muscle, which is crazy to me because I'm eating 500 calories more. Like I thought I was going to gain all this weight, and I did, but from a really good place. So
Show off, dude. Show off, dude.
I'm just saying, I'm reaping the fruit of accountability up in here, you know?
Yeah, man,
and so,
awesome.
I think like, yeah, I think the main point of that is like, I had to first tell him like, hey, like his name is Mike, but I was like, Mike, like, I'm really struggling. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel good when I'm training, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, what are you eating?
Yeah.
And it started there.
And there's a lot of value in that. Just, I mean, we're diving into like coaching, but we should probably wrap on that one. But,
Yeah.
you know, there's even value in that, even in a coaching relationship. Like how often are people afraid of telling the person that's helping them the truth?
Totally.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
Totally.
like you had to be like, hey, like, this is actually kind of scary for me. Whereas a lot of times you get into a coaching relationship and it's like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. What do you think? And you're like, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Right. And you're mortified inside and you're like, and it's like, as you're kind of going along in agreement,
Yeah.
your buy-in is kind of like, you're questioning it,
Yeah.
but you're not saying it, you're not voicing it.
Yeah.
So there's no space to process.
And so I think the bottom line, especially as we go back into like nutrition, is like the bottom line is like there needs to be a really good level of truth that you have with yourself in order for you to even start to make a change. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the common theme of this conversation right now. But
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a first episode with Kara into a multi-episode series just focused on nutrition. So
cool, guys.
thanks for listening.
Thanks for
Thanks, guys.
listening.